What's going on, people, and welcome back to another episode of the Premier League's Perspective, where we take a look at the weekend's Premier League games and we put a little bit of a Spurs spin on it and see how it affects us and, you know, just our general opinion on the other teams in the Premier League. And let's start off with the 1st of January, Manchester United 2, Aston Villa 1. In another game that Man United got over the line again.
They all seem to be racking up these wins. They've really put themselves in and amongst the title race, haven't they, as things stand?
Yeah.
Although watching the game was very, very even game. Villa gave as good as they got pretty much throughout the game.
Villa are a really good side,
They are. They put in a really solid performance, confident performance, and at 1-0, at 1-1, there was only one team going on to win it in that very close game. That was going to be Villa until... very dodgy penalty.
Yeah, you know,
dodgy penalty.
Villa equalise around 58, 59 minute mark. Then that penalty happens 2 minutes later.
Yeah, and that was a killer blow. After that penalty, Man United stepped up a bit, and all of a sudden, then Villa tried to go for that equaliser again after just getting it and trying very hard to get it. And once they got that equaliser, you thought, all right, get settled in the game and try go for a winner. But United getting that penalty was probably a big blow to them, but it was such a dodgy penalty.
It just wasn't a penalty for me.
I don't think it was a penalty. I think got very lucky Pogba to get that. I think
Jose making some reference to it.
Maybe I don't know. People reading a lot into that. Maybe he was, but in terms of the penalty, although there's a bit of a touch from Douglas Luiz on Pogba's left foot, he doesn't instigate it. Pogba instigates the touch, which then trips himself up and it goes over. I think, in my opinion, VAR was right not to overturn it, because I think in these kind of instances, it wasn't clearly not a penalty. I think there's enough doubt for me to say that the decision should be upheld. That's me personally. But I think if the referee doesn't give it, VAR doesn't give a penalty. I think at the end of the day it wasn't a penalty, and Villa have been hard done by. But I think this kind of penalty was. I think there's enough doubt in it for me for it to be upheld. And and I think United, they're going great guns at the moment. They're in very good form. For me, I still see enough in their performances to make me feel they're going to drop.
I think they look a bit frail at the back still.
Yeah, I agree. Villa created a lot of chances, and they probably
although Villa create chances against the best of teams this year, with Jack Grealish is on absolute fire.
He's next level at the moment, Jack Grealish. He really is, showing us what we're missing, because we nearly had him a couple of years ago.
4 million.
Daniel. He's going to be left to rue that one, I believe. He's been unbelievable this season. But United, they're going to drop. I really believe that.
The Oli car crash is coming.
Yeah, I honestly believe that. I think they're getting results that are better than their performances in the moment. And although you've got to say their team, they've got a good team, no doubt about it. But I think they will drop at some point, and I reckon it will come soon. But they've got some decent fixtures coming up, though.
They do. But Bruno Fernandes, he's also another level.
Yeah, he's been great. He just racks up for a midfielder a ridiculous number of goals and assists. He might be the best goal scoring midfielder since Lampard at this rate. Yeah. I think
if he keeps it up, that is.
Well, he's kept it up for a year, so there's nothing to tell me he won't keep it up for a lot longer. And although I think he's one of those players that in general play can leave you a bit frustrated, but he just seems every game to be getting those goals and assists.
Yeah, because he's always trying these high risk passes. That's why.
Yeah. And so when those games when it doesn't come off, he leaves you very frustrated. Yeah. But he just in every game he seems to be pulling out something out of the bag. So it's very, very impressive. And again, he gets that penalty.
Yeah, Fernandes, we like to call him.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the other game that day. It was Everton at Goodison Park against West Ham, 1-0 to West Ham. After Everton, they went on a nice little run, came crashing down at Goodison Park against West Ham. Though West Ham, great season.
Yeah, they're playing quite well at the moment, West Ham, especially against the bigger sides. They seem to be pulling out some good results.
Thomas Souček is just pulling out goal after goal after goal.
It really is a new Fellaini, isn't it?
Yeah, he
really is a Czech Fellaini. He is that goal-scoring midfielder that Moyes loves in that position, isn't he? Big, tall lad who
only can score one type of goal.
Yeah, well, he didn't score a header against Everton.
I didn't see this game, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a tap-in at the back post. It was a nice finish. It was a good run. And Everton, again, up and down form, as likely to kind of drop points as they are to win. And at the moment, it's difficult with Everton because they've got a very good team, as I said, but I feel like their squad isn't that strong.
They got a great first 11.
Yeah,
I mean not great, but a good first 11.
But when they have to use their squad, that's what they found wanting.
Yeah,
and again, Whereas with Spurs, I feel like if we do, a lot of the times when we don't win, we'll at least get a point. I like when we're not as likely to lose as Everton. I think that might be their 6th loss of the season. So that's quite, or 5th or 6th, one of the two. So that's quite a few losses.
It seems like they're a bit of a confidence team. Like they go on runs of losses, then runs of wins, and runs of losses and runs of wins. They're consistent. That's what I'll say. They're consistent in what they do. But yeah, I kind of like Everton. They're level points with us.
Yeah, do we have a game in hand?
Don't think so. I'll have a look at that.
Oh no, we don't.
Same games.
Yeah, but our game but our next we both have games in hand, and their one's against City and our one's against Fulham.
Yeah.
Yeah, look,
I don't rule them out from beating or getting a draw against.
They
City.
are level on points with us, but I feel like when I see the performances and how we play, and even the results, I think the way we play is more sustainable. I really genuinely believe that. And I think Everton, they're a good team, but I do think that we're better. And the fact that they consistently lose games over a few games shows that for me. Yeah,
but the thing is that what really hurts Everton get a few injuries, they're screwed. We saw that when they got a few injuries last month or whenever it was.
And James has really dropped off.
At the same time, Richarlison got injured, James got injured. I can't remember who else got injured, but they got a few injuries. And,
Alan, I think.
Yeah, and it seems as though if Richarlison's out, they can't seem to win a game.
Yeah,
they're heavily reliant on these kind of players.
And I would say James as well. He had a great start to the season, but I don't think he's had a goal and assist in a long time now. So he's one. I know he's been injured as well, but he's one who really needs to start stepping up again if they really want to keep challenging. All saying that, they did have some good results with some solid defensive displays. So if they can keep that going, then maybe they can turn it around again.
All right, let's move on to Sunday, the 2nd of January. I'm sorry about this, but we're going to have to look over this game. But it is West Bromwich Albion 0, Arsenal 4.
And they're back in the title race, Arsenal,
and they're back in the title race. They're back in top 4 contention.
Thank you very much, Chelsea, by the way. Look what they've done. Look what they've done, Chelsea.
And they're back to being one of the best teams in world football, as their fans seem to claim. Kieran Tierney apparently is the best left-back in world football right now.
Because he wears shorts in the snow.
Yeah, pretty much. Look, it's against West Brom. I'm not going to read too much into it. Yes, Chelsea gave Arsenal have a bit of a lift, but Arsenal have got a bit of a hard run again now, so I believe they're going to drop off again.
Well, they got Palace, then Newcastle, then a hard run.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they will drop, and I know they're doing well. You know, Smith Rowe's giving them something extra. Saka's playing well at the moment with it, but it's just form. It's just that they're in good form and they'll drop. I'm certain of that.
It's not even form, man. They've won 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
West Brom,
which puts them back in the contention for
was the
mid-table.
one? Who was it? They beat Brighton. They just about beat Brighton. Probably didn't.
Brighton's reserves.
They just about beat Brighton's reserves. Yes, they battered West Brom, but they're getting battered week in, week out at the moment. And they
lost 5-0 to Leeds, who we beat 3-0.
And they beat Chelsea, who are literally falling off a cliff at the moment. So I'm not reading too much into it. I think they've just got a bit lucky with the fixtures at the moment.
Well, the form tables shows that the teams they've beaten are currently 17th, 18th, and 19th in the form table. So they're not exactly playing teams who are in form. But I'm not
worried about Arsenal whatsoever.
I'm not worried at all about Arsenal. What I would say is the football. Some of the goals they scored are quite impressive. Mm-hmm. They did score some nice goals, and although it was against a team bang out of form in West Brom, who were going to give them opportunities, who've only got 8 points this season. Yeah. West Brom, they've scored what 8 goals or something really low. So look, beating West Brom isn't the be all and end all. It's not that impressive. But what I would say is they did do well to score some of the nice goals they have. They have got a bit more energy now in Smith Rowe and in Saka to hurt teams or trouble teams, but they'll be found out again. And as soon as they come up with it, Arteta's another bad result from back in a crisis. Let's be honest. And although they're back in contention for mid-table, they're 11th in the league at the moment. I'm pretty sure like half of the top half, or most of the top half,
that high.
Yeah, they are. But most of the top half have a game in hand on them, pretty much. So they're them saying they're going to challenge for Europe or whatever remains to be seen. I really don't believe that. I think they'll drop again. But I would say I'm sure they're very happy at the moment because they've stopped the rot. They're in a good form at the moment. And but I think it's just a matter of time before they start dropping points again.
Yeah, I think they come up with it against a bit better quality, they'll come undone. I really believe that. and maybe even the next few games. I think they'll probably get a result against Newcastle, but I reckon Palace can give them a game.
Palace for sure can get a result against them, no doubt about it.
All right, so let's swiftly move on. Don't like talking about Arsenal wins. Let's go to the Amex as Brighton drew 3-3 with Wolves. That was a sensational game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a really good game, and Brighton showing that they have some goals in them when they play their full strength team, unlike they did against Arsenal.
So Aaron Connolly put Brighton up quite early on in the game. Before half time, Wolves were 3-1 up, and then what a second half by Brighton, pulling it back.
Really impressive stuff. But they need to start getting wins on the ball because they're really floundering at the moment near the bottom. Luckily for them, Fulham, Sheffield United and West Brom really struggling for points. So they're kind of, they're 2 points clear at the 17th or something like that? Not even, maybe 6 points clear.
What?
They're on 17 points, are they?
Who?
Brighton, or 13 points?
No, Brighton on 14 points.
14 points.
Fulham on 11 points.
So 3 points clear of the drop. But it's a weird one, Brighton, because they seem to play good football every game, but they just can't. They very rarely get goals. They did get the goals against Wolves, but that's a very rare occasion for them. It really is. But you got to say they did well to come back from 3-1 against a Wolves side who are usually very solid defensively. Fair play to Graham Potter.
Look, 2 wins all season. It's just not good enough.
Not good enough for Brighton. They need to be getting more than that, and that's why Arsenal are clear of the relegation zone at the moment.
Yeah. Palace 2, Sheffield United 0. Sheffield United, they're down and out. They are down and out already.
There's no saving
It's not even halfway through the season and they're down and out.
There's no saving this situation when you've lost 14 out of 16 games. 15 out of 17, sorry.
Yeah.
They've lost 15 out of 17 games. There's no saving that situation. So they will do well to even get to 20 points in this situation, let alone 40. So I think, look, Wilder's done a great job. I think what they'll do is they'll keep him.
They can't sack him.
They won't sack him. I think they'll keep him knowing that next season his decent likelihood he could bring them back up.
Yeah, and I think he will. But the thing is, if they do come back up, they need to make some signings because they've got a championship squad there. They did so well.
Mid-table championship squad as well.
Yeah, they did so well to do how well they did last season. How did they finish last season? Like 7th or 8th or something?
Something like that.
Like, Wilder did such a good job, and the proof is in the pudding about their transfer business and stuff this year.
I think in retrospect, looking back at it, he probably should have got manager of the year.
Yeah,
on that performance because they did so well to.
You could not give it to Klopp though after last year.
Maybe, but he did so. Looking at the squad now and how they're performing, he did amazingly well to get them into that position that he did because they are such average players, and also the amount of goals they scored. They don't score goals.
They really don't score goals. They're struggling. They really needed to bring in a striker in the summer, and they brought in Brewster.
Yeah,
I mean,
who they brought him for a big money as well, like 20 million or something. And
I mean,
although he did all right in the championship, but not enough.
What do Liverpool do? How do they get so much money for these youngsters? Jordan Ibe, Ryan Brewster, who's the other one as well? Solanke. I mean, they robbed. Daylight robbery to Bournemouth.
I think it's 20 million out of all for each of those players.
Bournemouth got done so hard with those players.
Liverpool must have like the best marketing team for these players because they're honestly all average, all big average players. They get big money for them just because probably they're from Liverpool. I don't know how they've done it, but fair play to them because they seem to know how to sell their players. Unlike us, we don't really know how to.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Sunday, the 3rd of January. Let's start off with Newcastle 1, Leicester 2. Another result for Leicester. They're just pulling them out the bag.
And they deserved it. I watched that game.
James Maddison and Yuri Tielemans.
2 great goals.
2 great goals with Andy Carroll pulling one back with about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, they were never really in danger in that game. To be fair, I thought Newcastle didn't play too badly actually throughout the game, but Leicester always had them at arm's length. And they 2 bits of quality throughout the game. That's all they needed, and that was enough for them. And their away form is brilliant. Leicester it really is. They keep plugging away, getting those points in difficult games.
They've got like away wins on a conveyor belt. At the moment.
And so Yonchu to come back in as well. Pereira to come back in at right back. So they're doing really well. They're doing really well at the moment. Leicester, fair play to them. I think they're going to be challenging us if they don't drop off like they did last season.
They can challenge for the title.
I don't think they can challenge for the title. I think they'll drop too many points. Although I know everyone is, but I think they'll drop too many to actually win the league.
Where do you think is like a fair position for them this season to finish?
Between 3rd and 5th.
3rd and 5th.
I think they can do it. I think Rodgers has done a really good job. They've shown now for 2 years straight that they can consistently get points.
Do you think they'll fall off a go like they did last season though?
Maybe not as badly. I think they will. They will, but they literally dropped like a rock last season. I don't think they'll drop that bad.
Second half of the season, they pretty much had relegation form.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that bad this year, but I do think they'll drop.
First half of the season, they had like championship winning form, and then second half it was relegation form.
I remember last season they were saying Leicester were the only team that can challenge Liverpool at one point until Liverpool battered them 4-0.
Yeah,
and that was over. But I think Leicester, they're a good team, no doubt about it. They're a good team. I just think, although I know they've been using their squad really well this season because they've had a lot of injuries and still up there, I feel like when Europa League, the knockout stages kick back in, they might struggle to juggle their squad a bit.
All right, let's move on. And this is the last two games, probably the two biggest games of the weekend. And as you can see from the thumbnail, some great pictures from Ralph Hasenhüttl and Frank Lampard. But let's start off with the Chelsea game. Chelsea 1, Manchester City 3, and Manchester City just completely wiped the floor with Chelsea. Chelsea have fallen off a cliff. Lampard has gone absolutely clueless. Doesn't know what to do. He's getting fatter and fatter each game. And where did Chelsea go from here?
Yeah, their form has really nosedived. But you got to say, City were absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. I thought they were great. It was game over after half an hour. It was, and I was so impressed with them because some of the football they played, they completely carved Chelsea open like they weren't even there. Thiago Silva looked every bit the 36-year-old that he is in that game.
Kevin De Bruyne back to his best.
All of a sudden, Thiago Silva didn't look like he was ready to play in the Premier League after that game because he was completely found out against the likes of De Bruyne and Sterling and Bernardo Silva, who I thought all had brilliant games. The goals they scored.
Foden.
Oh, he's a special talent.
Phil Foden was absolutely insane.
Yeah, he's a special player.
How does he not start week in, week out?
I think he should. He should have been David Silva's replacement, to be honest, with the way he plays. He's such a special talent, special player, and he showed against Chelsea he can perform consistently. Man City really looked back to their best, which is a worrying sight for the rest of the Premier League. The way they just dismantled Chelsea with ease at Stamford Bridge was definitely a worry.
Back to their best, I'm not so sure. I think they will get back to their best over the course of the second half of the season. Me personally, I think City win the league this year. I genuinely believe that. I think that they've been growing the last couple of weeks, but to say they're back to their best, I don't think so. I think Chelsea were really poor, and I think they've been really poor for the last 4 weeks. They got played off the park by Arsenal.
It's also true.
They got played off the park by Arsenal.
And Kante doesn't look the same player, does he?
Yeah, I know.
Something's wrong with him.
Something is wrong with Kante. But look, I think Chelsea gave City easy work, and the game was over from half an hour. Yes, City were amazing.
I think Chelsea started brighter, but then once City got into the game, once they got their foothold in the game, it was over. It was done.
That was it.
Some of the football they played was irresistible, though.
It really was.
But Werner and Havertz again.
I think Chelsea let them play.
They they did, because they had that midfield three which struggled of Kante, Mount, and Kovacic. It didn't really, they didn't know how to deal with the Man City players. But you got to say, Werner and Havertz again. I know Havertz came on, got a late assist, but Werner he got a big opportunity in this game because he started up front. Where Lampard decided to give him a big opportunity. They've been dawdling between Giroud and Tammy Abraham, but he decided to go Werner up front, Pulisic on the left, Ziyech on the right. On paper, that's their best front three, you would say, but it didn't. In theory, with Man City playing a high line, there should be a lot of space for him to run into. Didn't pan out like that at all, and I think Man City had that in their minds because they had Rodri and Gundogan and Fernandinho were all in there, so they knew how Chelsea were going to set up. They weren't stupid and leaving all that space for Werner to run into. They sat a bit deeper, hit them on the counter time after time, and it worked a treat. And Lampard got I think, tactically outdone in this one.
I think he's getting tactically outdone week in, week out. Moment of the game was Timo Werner's brilliant corner.
Oh yeah, what was that about?
What was that all about?
Awful, just hitting the corner with his foot, passing the corner instead of the ball, and seemed to hurt himself as well in the process. But
I think that kind of sums up the last few months of his Chelsea career, to be honest.
Yeah, he hasn't done it just yet. I know it's still very on. We're not even halfway through the year, so it's still very early doors in his Chelsea career. And he might start hitting form at some point. It just hasn't happened at the moment for Chelsea. And they're struggling to bed in all their signings, and Lampard is under serious pressure with all the money he spent. They're expected to challenge for the league with all that money he spent, 100%. I'm telling you now, Abramovich isn't spending 250 million to challenge for top four. He's doing it to challenge for the league. So the fact that they're sitting in ninth, he definitely won't sit well with Roman. But they're still. I think the league is so tight, and there's a lot of time left for him to turn it around. So I don't think he'll sack him.
Well, you know, Roman can be very reactionary at sometimes.
I know, but he seems to have changed his tune a bit since after the early few years of him sacking managers, you know, very consistently. He gave Sarri a whole season.
This is the worst win rate out of any Chelsea manager under Roman.
It is.
Worse than AVB.
Yep.
So, I mean, writing's got to be on the wall at some stage.
I think he'll give him the end to the end of the season.
You think so?
I don't think he's going to sack him mid-season. I think he'll give him to the end of the season. I really do. Unless it really does turn bad and they start and then bottom half or something like that.
I can see Lampard getting sacked maybe in about 3-4 months. Maybe end of the season. I can see them bringing in an Allegri or someone like that.
It depends how tight. If they're still within like a couple wins of like the top 2 or top 3 or top 4, I think he'll be safe. But if the gap starts getting bigger, then the questions might still be asked. I think he should be. I think he will be alright. I reckon this current plight won't go on for too much longer. They'll start getting a few more wins, but their form is nosediving at the moment. It really is.
I think he's the most under pressure manager in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, seeing as Arteta's got a few wins under his belt.
Yeah.
It's all Lampard's fault. This is all Lampard's fault. Arsenal back in form now. Thanks, Chelsea.
Fat Lampard. All right, let's move on to the last game of the weekend, which was Southampton against Liverpool, where Southampton got a 1-0 win. Absolutely.
Great win.
Against all odds. Liverpool can't buy an away win at the moment. I know they beat Crystal Palace 7-0 a couple of weeks back, but before that, their last away win before that was their first away game of the season against Chelsea. So they've won 2 away games all season. What's happened to them?
I think, in terms of like the chances, the amount of pressure they're putting on teams and the chances they're creating, then they're not creating as good quality chances. They are getting. The thing is with Liverpool, though, they are still getting in very dangerous positions. It's not like when you see like a Chelsea team or something where they just don't look threatening. They look threatening. You got to say that they do look threatening. They put Southampton under serious pressure. But the fact of the matter is, Forster didn't have too many unbelievable saves to make in that game. He had some good saves.
Mate, they had one shot on target the whole game.
That's it. That's the problem. That's the problem for them. They don't seem as sharp in the final third. And once Southampton got the early goal, they just defended for 90 minutes and they pulled out of the bag. And you know, there wasn't so much difference between how Southampton played to how we played against Liverpool. Just Liverpool got, you know, a couple of moments against us, a lucky deflection and a corner, whereas against Southampton, these moments didn't come off for them. And Danny Ings with a great goal against his former club.
What a
brilliant
goal.
lob.
What a goal.
Like, to lob the keeper from that kind of range.
It ain't any keeper, though. It's Alisson as well.
Yeah, I know. Outstanding. To get his foot that high up, to lob the keeper was outstanding piece of finishing from Danny Ings.
And it's a goal that gets better and better every time you watch it as well.
Yeah, and you got to say, Southampton defended really well. It wasn't a case of Liverpool not putting pressure on Southampton. They were, and Southampton kind of stood up to that pressure and defended really well. None more so than Kyle Walker-Peters, who I thought was outstanding throughout the whole game.
Mane like no one else. Seriously,
yeah, outstanding. And that swap deal was looking like the definition of a win-win there for both parties.
Literally, what I don't get is that look, you're always going to get it. All these reactionary people on Twitter, but everyone. Every Spurs fan was saying, get Kyle Walker-Peters out, sell him, he's not good enough. And now, this performance against Liverpool shackling Mane, everyone's like, oh, there's a good right back at Southampton, why don't you sign him? And it was like, why did we ever sell him? I was like, come on, everyone wanted him out, everyone thought he wasn't good enough.
He's kind of turned from a boy into a man, though. Southampton. He seems to have grown in stature. Like, he seems to have bulked up a bit. I remember when he used to wear the Spurs shirt, it used to seem like too big for him. You know what I mean? It used to be sagging off him, but now he seems to fill that shirt at Southampton. He seems to be a proper Premier League player now.
Yeah. And
there were some people at Spurs who always felt like all he needed was a consistent run of games and he could turn into a Premier League quality right back. And he never really got that consistent run at Spurs. Whatever we say, he never got a consistent run in the team. And to be fair to him, whenever he did get a chance at Spurs, he did impress most of the time. Not all the time, not when he played big games, but whenever he played, I remember him getting 3 assists in a game against Bournemouth. I remember getting man of the match on his debut against Newcastle. Yeah. I remember he did have some impressive games for Tottenham. So he'll probably be thinking back and thinking, if he did get a consistent run at Spurs, he could have been our right back. He unfortunately never got it. and maybe we're going to be left to rue letting him go. But the fact of the matter is we used him in a motorweight for Højbjerg. Højbjerg has been world class, so I think it's been a win-win for everyone involved. And he was an absolute gem against Liverpool. Well, deserved his man of the match performance.
Exactly.
And was brilliant.
Every tweet that Spurs fans were sending out, I just wanted to reply back to them with just a picture of Højbjerg.
Yeah,
a picture of Højbjerg.
That's why we have Højbjerg, because Walker Peters was left. Was used as make weight, and now we are 4 points behind Liverpool with a game in hand. You know, that game in hand being Fulham at home at the moment. United also level on points with Liverpool with a game in hand. So with Man United to play Liverpool next week,
and us to play Liverpool in a couple of weeks,
and we're playing. So it's all to play for. It really is all to play for. It's such an open league this season that no one's running away from it. So even though we had a few bad results, we're still in and amongst it. And Liverpool seem like they are capable of dropping points in many games this season. So who knows what's going to happen from now to the end of the season. So much football to be played. It's all about who can be the most consistent. And who knows if we could.
It's shaping up to be the most exciting Premier League season potentially of all time.
At the moment, the way things are going.
Potentially of all time. When have you ever been in a season this far in, let's say 17 games in, where top is on 33 points and 10th is on 26 points? Or forget 10th, let's talk about 7th, 29 points. You know what I mean? 4 points from top to 7th.
Never been that close.
It's nuts.
Never been that close.
It's nuts.
Crazy. Considering last season, I think at this stage there was probably like a 16 or 17 point gap between first and second.
Yeah.
So this is crazy. This is a crazy close league. And I think in terms of what the consistency we've shown, it will, despite we have dropped silly points and a lot of points, which might cost us. But I think in terms of performances, I think we have shown a good consistency throughout the season.
It's
so
just
who
not
knows?
consistent in results. It's consistent in performances.
But hopefully we can get a good run together. And you never know. You know, people rule us out of their peril because I think it's so tight. You can't rule anyone out, really.
I don't even think you can rule Aston Villa out at this stage.
You can't rule anyone out. So it's so tight. I think we just got to keep plugging away, see where we are in April, May, when it's crunch time. And you know what? If we are in amongst it, you know, Mourinho's been there and done that. He's done it. You know, he's been in these positions before. He knows how to deal with those situations. So,
and so has Pep. So has Klopp. So
rule
has
us out at your peril. Not Ollie.
Just as a player.
So look, rule us out at your peril. I think the league is open, and let's see what the season brings.
All right, so there you have it. That is this week's episode of the Premier League's Perspective. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts regarding any of the Premier League games we spoke about. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come
on,
you Spurs!
Spurs.